Good morning from our yurt, where I've been spending the last 2 days in retreat. My husband and I have this arrangement with each other where we both get a weekend every other month. So this month is my moment. Next month he gets a weekend for himself. And we can really use this time to recharge, to cleanse, to deeply, deeply connect to ourselves again and fill up our own space, fill up our own bodies with inspiration, motivation, peace, quiet, energy, so we can be fully present in our family and in our work during the rest of the time. And the last few weeks, months for me have been a deep process around the right to exist, and also in the way I want to show up in my work and offer my work. So for this retreat, I really felt it would be good for me to do a fast, really, really deeply cleanse my body. And so this is what I did. And I've been fasting for about 42 hours now. And a few more hours left, and then I come out again and we'll start eating a little bit again. And I've been absolutely fascinated by the way my body responded to this fasting. Also, a coffee detox. It felt like I've been drinking a bit more coffee the last few months, weeks. And I wanted to share a bit about my process here, about what fasting does to your body, and I wanted to channel Anna, grandmother of Jesus, and see what she has to say about eating. I've been working very intimately with her these past 2 days to cleanse my own system and upgrade my own DNA. And so the first few hours, I think that was mainly due to the coffee detox, I felt pretty annoyed and aggravated, and it was really hard for me to remain grounded and peaceful and tender. But at some point I could relax into it and just feel the exhaustion leaving my body and feeling so much gratitude that I am here at this moment and I have the opportunity to cleanse my system and gain deeper perspective. So yesterday, I'm looking at it right now, I've been pretty much laying on bed the entire day. There was absolutely nothing else that my body could do. I tried to get up a few times, tried to walk around, go in the forest, sit outside, and it just wasn't possible. My body was just, it felt like a flu. Like when your body is working an illness out of your system and the only thing you can do is lay down and sleep and just allow it to happen. So this is what I did. I would just go back to bed and lay there and close my eyes, and I would go into my body, breathe in the golden light of life, the way Anna taught me. And every time she nudged me, I would go deeper into my body and into my own DNA. In the first few hours, I could really feel like this, like thick kind of substance or like mud that had been clogging up some of my abilities. So I could kind of see it leaving, cleansing. I could see the golden light of life going out and just taking it all and into the light. And my entire body was vibrating. I could feel from right from above my head to below my toes. I could really feel everything vibrating, every cell just coming into regeneration. It felt like regeneration. And then when I would go into my DNA, there were parts around like my original imprint around food, around when I was a baby and being breastfed by my mom. And I think back then, and maybe still now, there is this belief that babies only need to nurse every 3 hours, that this is enough for them and that they don't need anything more. And if they cry in between, then this is something that you just have to accept. And I could feel how that put so much stress on my body, where I would just be there and feel hungry and tense, and there was nothing coming because the 3 hours hadn't passed yet, and the immense relief that came when I was finally being nursed again, and how this has still ripples into my current day life, where I feel I can definitely be an emotional eater, and I feel it stems from that period. That's, to me, food has become associated with a release of tension. When I'm overwhelmed with emotions, food helps me deal with those emotions, deal with the stress I feel on my body. Whereas the stress has nothing to do with food at this moment in my life. Back then it did. But at this moment, it's just emotions that are coming up to be seen and not coming up to be suppressed by food. So this is what yesterday was about. So I cleansed that part of my DNA and rewrote a story. As I've shared before, when I do DNA work on myself and for other people, I go into a library, like this big spiraling library, which is our DNA. And there's all these books that define the way our body regenerates, our cells regenerates, that defines the way we process food, we process emotions. It also defines the color of our eyes, of course, and the color of our hair, and the way our body is built. And then there's all these abilities there that we've been gifted from our ancestors. They're just waiting there. And there's big parts of our DNA that are just dusty or almost petrified because they haven't been used for so long. And so when I go into these libraries, I just allow the Akashic records, and this time also Anna, to guide me to where I can do work at this moment. So for me, it started right at the bottom at my association with hunger and stress. We did some clearing on that, rewrote the story, and I could feel the tension leaving my shoulders and my body, and there was this deep sense of relaxation that came in, and from there I could sleep again and allowed that process to work. And later on, she guided me to other parts of my DNA that have to do with abilities, working with energy, working with the power of our thoughts, really, and belief systems. So we did some clearing there, and then went into the caves of my mind. And she guided me into this room that is a collection of all my belief systems. And these belief systems, she showed me, dictate the way light and inspiration flow through us and the way we manifest our this light into being. So these belief systems manifest the way the light comes into our life. And right there in the middle of it, there's this huge, almost like umbrella shape, and it was really filtering so much light. And it said, I don't belong here. I don't belong with these people. So this is one of my core beliefs that was really blocking the way that I can connect to people. So it's pretty limiting. And she said, well, good thing your stomach and your intestines are clear now, because now we can start to digest and compost these belief systems that are connected to this. And she just helped me shove it down into my stomach and flow down my intestines, and for it to be released and be composted by the earth. And this is one of the things that she showed me about fasting. It's not just about clearing the body. It's not just about resetting your digestive system or burning fats or any of those things. It's very much creating space to cleanse and open ourselves to new possibilities, clear the grounds so that our digestive system can work in also digesting these old beliefs and getting rid of the mess that our minds and our bodies may have made over time. And then she showed me how she related to food in her time. And it just felt so beautiful and so right to me. She showed me how food was definitely a very big part of their community. There's nothing wrong with eating. We do not need to be able to live pranic lives. And if we can, the more power to us. But there is still a very beautiful benefit of eating and eating the right way. And what she showed me was that they just took the food straight from the earth. They prepared the food with their own hands. They harvested the food with their own hands. And they prepared it with the intention to nourish each other and nourish themselves. It wasn't about consuming. It wasn't about more, or gratifying needs. It was just this celebration of being human and being on earth and working with the earth. And she showed me that, if we get to do this, if we get to eat food that has been harvested, preferably by our own hands and preferably within the first 24 hours. But if that's not possible, then at least like from our own lands and as fresh as possible, then it's really about celebrating our connection to the lands and the work we get to do here and the way we get to create. So for them, this was what food was about. It was about really nourishing their systems so that they could do the work here on earth and with the lands they were living on. Like right now we get to fly in avocados and cheese and oranges from all over the world. I mean, there's food coming from New Zealand to the Netherlands here. And while it's a really big, I can feel so grateful that I get to taste oranges and they're in my life because I love oranges and I love avocado. But it's not from the land I live in. So while it is a gift to my body, it's not as much connected to how I might ground through food. Whereas if I were to eat the apples grown in our own lands, or the berries that are growing right now, or the spinach just from Dutch soils, I really get to connect to this space here and allow that food to come in and inform my body on how to be connected to this place, to this moment right here. And from this moment right here and from this space of grounding, we can really offer more of our soul's mission. And it was also, a way to celebrate together, to sit in community and to feel how blessed we are by the earth and how abundant the earth's blessings are and how we get to share them with each other. It really is a moment of connection, and it gets to be that if we allow it, if we really allow it to be that moment of connection. Food can be such a connecting element in our lives, creating community, preparing it together, growing it together, and eating it together, and enjoying this entire process together. And she also showed me that they would go into fasts at times, but it wasn't necessary to cleanse their bodies necessarily, because they would already have this way of working with food that nourishes the cells and nourish the entire being. So they would go into fasting when they felt it was time to connect deeper to God, when they really wanted to clear their entire system and revise the way they, their belief systems, like what I just shared about. So they would, and it wouldn't be like what I did now, just to eat the entire week and then kind of gradually diminish the amount of food the last day and go into a cold turkey stop on foods. They would prepare for at least a week. They would, and the entire community would know they were going into this preparation. So their load was already diminished. And during that week, they would already start eating different kinds of food. So, for example, no bread, no sugars. They would just start eating very lean and very clean, very light, neutral. And then by the time they would retreat into the caves where they would meditate and sit with God, they would not need what I just had yesterday, an entire day of sleeping it off because my body was so hard, working so hard to cleanse all that out of my system. They would just work with this light of life and channel it into their bodies, and they would be clearing themselves and meditating and praying, lots of prayers, and getting clearer and clearer and clearer. So it was really just a time about connecting to God and connecting to their soul mission. And when they would come out of the cave, it was a rebirth and was celebrated. And then again, very mindful with how you up your intake of food. So first just maybe some juices and light soups or broth. And then bit by bit starting adding the carbs and other vegetables, other fruits. So really have a build up again to be able to integrate everything that has transpired during your time of prayer into your life again and take it into the world where we can be part of creation and can be part of life and really live the potential that is not hidden, that's very alive and present within our own DNA. So this is what Anna shared with me during these past few days around foods and the connection to food and the way we can work with foods to really be present in our bodies and with the earth and on the earth and celebrate the abundance of life and celebrate ourselves, each other. And for me also, food is a love language. I love preparing food for myself. And I really feel it's a beautiful way to nurture my body. And then sometimes I take that a bit too far. So then times that I feel a bit disconnected from myself, I start treating myself to things that I should not be eating because it has been like this relief of stress and this way of saying, but I do love myself, look. But it goes deeper than that. It's just this deep love for nourishment. And I love to cook for others and prepare nourishing meals that really support where they are right now and how they get to ground and connect. So food is very much about nourishment and connection to earth. And by having it pass through our intestines and our stomach, we get to really become part of the earth and take in that frequency and take in that vibration. So the fresher it is, the more this frequency is still available. So many ways to ground. We can put our bare feet on the earth, but we can also eat the fresh harvested food given to us by the mother and celebrate it together. So when we cook for ourselves and each other, this gets to be the intention. How can I nourish myself? How can I nourish can we nourish each other? How can we celebrate living life on earth and really, really become part of this life on earth? And it starts with how we relate to food. So I would love to hear from you how you relate to food and how this message resonated with you. Many, many blessings.